Hey guys, what's going on? It's Brian Martin with your daily Manchester United news show. Usually I pre-record, but I decided to go live again today since we're, all feeling good. Wanted to hop on that feel good feeling and see how you guys are all feeling this morning, or at least morning my time, probably afternoon for you by now. So are we about to see the best of Manchester United? That is the question in the thumbnail. That's the question to start the show. Let me know what you think right off the bat before I even get into anything else. Are we about to see the best of Manchester United? So, first question, another question too is the win yesterday. Is it a good win, or did we catch Liverpool in a slump, or both? Right? I mean, if you look at where Liverpool is in the table and how they have been performing prior to these last 4 or 5 bad results, winners of the league, right? Good. Slump, yes, but you would think even a team that's that good in a slump, it'd still be a challenge for us to even go toe to toe with them, given our recent form and history. So I think a bit of both, but you know, are we about to see the best? Did we see some new things in this game, some new tactical decisions that Amorim scratches his head and goes, you know what? That worked. Let's keep doing that. Right? Because he did say something in one of his previous press conferences about doing the things that work and doing them every single game. Are we seeing what he's been talking about? Are the players finally buying into Ruben Amorim? I don't know. But what I do know is that Diego Dallo, had the following things to say. He said, even the players who were not going to start, you could feel the energy and the positive energy they were given to those who were going to start, because at any moment they can be important. He says, you can imagine the feeling inside the dressing room. It took me 8 years to win at Anfield, so obviously really proud of everyone involved. The players, the staff, everybody on the bench. Great feeling, a beautiful day for us and the fans. Everybody has to enjoy today. And I mean, you saw that. You saw it after the final whistle. Players like Joshua Zirkzee and others were like celebrating as if they had won, you know, the match themselves. Well, I shouldn't say won, but like, because they did win the match, they're a team, but like they were celebrating as if they had scored the game-winning goal. So, that's why I picked out those quotes from Dallo, because I felt like they were really important, because it really did. They were really accurate, and I was surprised. Maybe you saw it too. I was surprised to see how excited the players were who didn't play. I don't know what Amorim told them. I don't know if there's a bonus involved or what. But again, like I said, I'm keying in on Xerxes because he's been, in the media a lot lately. I've been talking about him a lot lately and possibly leaving in January. But the way he was celebrating it was like you would have thought he scored the header that Maguire scored. So I like to see that. I hope we see more of that after future wins. I hope we see this togetherness, this energy, this positive energy that Diogo Dallo was talking about in his quotes I just read. And just moving on to tactically, right? So like I said it in my pre-match. I said it in my short. I wasn't a fan of the starting 11. I didn't agree with it at all. I still kind of feel like maybe we could have gone with some other players in certain positions. But he set them up the right way tactically. He did. I am at the office just to stream. I need to get me through the last hour. I'll see if I can go for it. I don't know about an hour. Hours. I don't know how these guys go for an hour. That's tough, but we'll see. We'll see where we get. Um, but technically, we came out with a clear plan, and I feel like that's one of the few times, if not maybe the first time, I've seen this with a really clear, defined plan. I mean, you could see that we were trying to switch the point of attack with these big sweeping passes from side to side and move Liverpool from left to right, right to left, what have you, and then use like Mbeumo or Dallo to get down the wings. And maybe we tried it before and it just wasn't coming off, so it wasn't as clear, but that was very, very clear in this match. And what was also clear too is how we were setting up defensively, right? So uh we pressed kind of like I was saying in the pre-match, right? We were waiting for them to get to, about the halfway line, maybe 6 yards before, 6 yards after, within the area of, I would say, the center circle. And we would then press them. And that's what I was saying in the match preview. And because I noticed that in other matches with Liverpool, they seem to get stretched in that position. That seems to be where their players started to kind of make their runs and, get into channels and start to stretch themselves and get players forward. And I was saying that that's the time to exploit them, to try and make them make a mistake. And so we did just that. Now, I did see some adjustments on the press. Depending on the situation, we did press higher up the pitch, or we sat back a little more. And I credit Amram with that in-game management. So again, just really good setup tactically, in my opinion, for the players that we have and for the players that Liverpool have in the kind of game it was. Um, the other thing too is our players, and this goes back to that feel good factor that Dallo was talking about in his comments and that we saw after the game. All our players just really seemed up for it. I mean, every player battled and fought, right? And again, is it just because it's Liverpool, or did Amram say, look, we have to get 2 wins in a row? You guys have to start showing. I mean, I don't know what he could have said, right? Or maybe some combination of what Amram said and the Liverpool match. But every player just fought everywhere. I mean, going in for tackles, holding off 2 or 3 Liverpool players, you know, throwing themselves into the signage along the side of the pitch, to save the ball or to go after the ball. I mean, like, I don't know what what it was, but they were after it. And so again, I can only partially credit, Amram with that. I mean, of course, like I said, it's Liverpool, so got to give them credit. So I had to get some water there. But I can also credit Amram with that. But again, let me know what you guys think, because again, I'm kind of going off the cuff a bit here, just still kind of feeling good from yesterday, right? Um, but it's funny too. Speaking of tactics, so I got criticized by some fellow fans for saying that I'd like to see us rotate certain positions, depending on the tactics and need for the game. And so someone was like, "We're only playing 1 game a week, rotating, forget that." So I said, okay, cool. What did we do yesterday? Rotated in players in certain positions, especially with Sheshko, right? We all thought he was a nailed-on starter. Rotated, and it paid off. It worked. I wish Xerxes could get in on that, but that's the thing with certain games, and I really have to again credit Amram, and this is all coming from a guy who's been Amram out since Grimsby Town, right? I have to credit Amram with rotating certain players in and changing the tactics a little bit, to get the best out of the players for this match, right? Now there were some who still didn't quite play that well, like Dalla wasn't great, right? Let's be honest, but um, he did what he could, and Amram did what he could to get the best out of these players. Um, I'm trying to think of one specific instance where I could really call it out. I want to say it was in the first half. Again, it was a press, and like Mbeumo was like shouting to his teammates to like sit here at this line, and you don't really see Mbeumo get very like you know shouty and like gesture a whole lot. But I saw him like kind of getting into it a bit. I'm like, even Mbeumo is like really just in this right now. So you know, again, tactically there was a clear plan, and I like it, and I'm glad that Amram did what he did. I'm glad he rotated the players that he rotated, and my point earlier, I remembered it now. Um, you have to change players and personnel and tactics for certain teams, right? Certain teams might be really good at certain things, and you just have to kind of get around it, right? Like some teams are just extremely good at defending, and so you have to kind of change your tactics a bit to break them down. You can't maybe play your usual game. And so I was happy to see that we changed our tactics a bit, and that's credit to Amram because, you know, for a guy who I called stubborn, I was saying, oh, and he said he's not going to change, so I was surprised too, but he changed. So maybe he's waking up a little bit. Um, Let me know what you guys think. Oh, I have no idea what that says. I don't speak that language, unfortunately. I'm sorry. I don't know what that says. I don't want to read it out either. 'Cause I don't know what that says, but something about Casemiro. Um, I'm not sure if anyone's able to translate that for me. What Gold Ace is saying, please do. I'm sorry. I don't know what that means. Um, but on Casemiro, there was talk about him, and I'm kind of getting ahead of what I wanted to get to in my agenda here, but just touching on Casemiro, since I can understand that bit. I can read that. Um, there was talk of him getting an extension. I would say no. I mean, unless he takes a serious pay cut and we somehow play him further up the pitch where he's no longer defensively responsible, because he's still a good passer of the ball. He can still shoot and get on the end of things. He can still organize play, but defensively, he's a liability at this point. I mean, what, a yellow card almost every other game, lunges in, has to be taken off at like halftime or just afterwards, you know, becoming a defensive liability. So Casemiro is not the guy we rely on, going forward in the midfield. And I know I worry about this season even, right? I hope in January we can get someone else, because it's still kind of early days, right, in this season. So I worry about him going forward. And I mean, I just see him getting another red card and us being without him, then having to start Ugarte, who isn't great in my opinion either, and so forth and so on. So anyway, I'm not going to get too far into that. I'll touch on transfers and stuff later. But Harry Maguire with the big header. Question for you. Harry Maguire's had an up and down time at Manchester United, right? He was club captain at one point, had that taken off of him, given to Bruno. He had that stuff in Greece. Um, received a lot of, unfair abuse, right? There's criticism and then there's abuse. I criticized him a lot back in the day. Didn't abuse him. I don't believe in that whole abuse thing. That's just too much, too crazy, too far. That's, you got a problem if you're abusing players. Um, but the way that he has shown professionalism, risen to the task, like figuratively and literally with the header, does he deserve a special place in Manchester United history? Not like legend status, but like a bit more than a cult or folk hero, right? Because he's produced some big moments for us, and he's kept his professionalism, kept his head, and continued to do well when called upon. Yes, he's made mistakes here and there, but everyone has. Every single player on the pitch has. I mean, even our club legends, you know, even the Holy Trinity, they all made mistakes at some point, right? So, uh, you know, does he deserve a bit more respect than he's gotten thus far? Harry Maguire, right? Like, let me know what you think in the comments. I mean, big matches, right? He seems to come out of nowhere and do it. So, and then that said, does that warrant one more year for Harry Maguire? Because there's talk of another contract, right? It's talk of an extension. Does that warrant one more year? And again, I know it's early and we're still living off the high of yesterday and his goal, but something to think about, maybe. Senne Lammens. So stop the presses, stop the talk. He's our number one by a country mile, as we say here in America. Senne Lammens is our number one. I mean, to come into Manchester United, to go away to Liverpool, and to have a good performance like that, a confident performance like that, excuse me, that says a lot. That says a lot. I mean, forget the stats and all this other stuff and blah 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 blah. Right? I'm not a huge stats person. I believe in the good old eye test. The guy has taken that number one spot, and it's his. It is his. And you could hear, because when I was watching the live stream, I had my headphones on, so I was listening to the stadium noise and the commentators and whatnot. You could hear him shouting for the ball over the fans, over the stadium noise. You could hear him. You could hear him yelling. You could hear him saying keeper. You could hear him shouting instructions. And like, I don't really recall that very much with Onana or Bayendir. Um, and Lemons, he's got like that kind of bite, that kind of snarl to him, right? Like you see him kind of like balling up his face, right? Like he's got a bit of a chip on his shoulder. Like, and you want that in your goalkeeper. Um, I think back to even days where I played, and we had different keepers at different times. It's like that keeper that had that little bit of just snarl and bite about him, that little bit of attitude, that little bit of like, I don't want to set this guy off, right? That little bit of, I like him, but I don't want to set him off. He might be crazy, You want that in your goalkeeper because, if you're kind of seeing that and sensing that, the opposing team is, and it makes you hesitant if you're an opposing player to go and challenge that keeper. right? Um, like he might come out and just absolutely, kill you to get the ball, right? He's not gonna be afraid to dive for that shot. So like it makes you think twice. But if you are on that keeper's team, it breeds confidence, right? Even as a striker, right? You go down, you're like, okay, I'm gonna take this chance because I might miss. The other team might come the other way, but I know I've got Senne Lammens back there to stop their shots, right? So you feel more confident. It breeds confidence throughout the team, and so like Lammens, yeah, by far and away the number one. You know, I would still like us, yeah, sure, to maybe bring in a more competent number two, someone better than Bayendir, and to continue to push Lammens. But I think Lammens is the number one at this point. I don't think we need to bring in anyone who's any more senior. I think Lammens is our guy. So let me know what you think about that one. But I mean, I think he's here. He's here to stay. He's the number one. We don't need anyone above him. Now, you know, the question again in the thumbnail: are we about to see the best? So you look at who we have coming up. We've got Brighton, we've got Forest, Spurs, Everton, Palace, West Ham, Wolves twice, Bournemouth, Villa, Newcastle, Leeds, Burnley. That's leading us up into what, early January, I think it is. And I think then at that point we play City and then Arsenal in a row. We could go on a good run here. We really could. And remember, we're 2 points right now, as of today, as of right now, as of me doing this live. We're 2 points outside of the Champions League. 2 points, right? Not a bad place to be, you know, especially where we've been. Not a bad place to be. And again, these are winnable games. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, yeah, we said that about Burnley, right? We said that about, heck, Grimsby, even though they're not in the Premier League. Said that about Fulham also, right? But I mean, I don't know. It's hard to not have belief right now. It's hard to temper your expectations given that we now have back-to-back wins. And it wasn't like a thing of, okay, it was Sunderland and then Liverpool a couple days later. It was Sunderland, a whole ass international break, and then we came back and beat Liverpool at their home. Again, maybe we're turning the corner. Maybe we're finally starting to turn the corner. Maybe players are starting to listen to Amorim. Maybe Amorim's backing off of some of his stubbornness a bit and is willing to, change things tactically just a little bit to get the best out of the players and beat the opposition. Right? Again, like I said, the teams I just read off, we've got the ability to go on a bit of a run here, right? I mean, and let's just say we do. Let's just play pretend. Let's just play make believe, right? Let's say we go and we beat Brighton, we beat Forest, Spurs, right? Everton, Palace will be tough, right? West Ham, Wolves, Bournemouth, um, Villa, Newcastle again might be tough. Leeds might be tough, and then Burnley again, right? I mean, just imagine, just close your eyes and imagine just for a moment what that would feel like to win, let's say 9 of the next 12. Just think about that. 9 of the next 12, potentially, right? Yes, I'm getting way too far ahead of myself. My mind's in January already, but just think about that. Think about where we could be if we won 9 of the next 12. Think about the mood around the club changing. It goes from this tempered belief to, we're doing it, and we're doing it week in, week out, and we're on our way, right? It changes the whole mood, the whole vibe, the feels, whatever you want to use, whatever term you want to use around the club. And I mean, I can't help but believe that maybe we could. Tell me how you feel, right? Don't just let me yap away. Tell me how you feel about it. Could we do something like that? Like win 9 out of the next 12? Who knows? I mean, but it's hard not to believe. And then, oh, let's say we strengthen in January and we just go on and do well and get back in the Champions League. I mean, I would absolutely be 100% Amram in at that point. And I hope that happens. Again, just because if you've been watching me and you know I'm Amram out and I've been Amram out since Grimsby, I would love to eat my words. I would love to be wrong on that and he be our guy and we go on to success and we get back in the Champions League and we stay and we, get back to title challenging and winning ways, I would love that more than, I won't say anything because I do have a family, but more than most things. um, so, yeah. I mean, you start to daydream a little bit, you know, but then again, let me just balance it out. What if this was just another kind of flash in the pan? Okay, we got our 2 wins in a row, sure. But then if we go and we fumble it against Brighton or Forest, and so forth, and we go on another poor run, like, I mean, can your heart take that, right? Can you take that? That would be tough. That would be tough. That would be a huge blow. And if you're just watching, this is me just balancing out all the belief and positivity I was just having. So if you missed that, don't think that you're chiming in or tuning in and I'm trying to rain on the parade. I'm not. I'm just trying to imagine both worlds where we either go and we win 9 of the next 12, or this was a flash in the pan. And, you know, like I said, we go and we fumble against Brighton, we lose to Forest, and we go on another poor run. And I was asking the question then, like, can you take that? I mean, can Ruben survive that, right? It's this club, man. This club, like, you just don't know. You just don't know. But I'm going to choose to be positive. I'm going to choose to believe that we can go on and win 9. We'll even say 8 or 9 of the next 12. I'm going to believe that. And again, 2 points out of the Champions League as of this current time. We could do it. We could do it. Just gotta stay focused, fit, and healthy. So since we're getting close to January, of course, the rumor mills, are firing back up. There's all this talk, obviously, of Adam Wharton. New name, Matteo Retegui. He's at Al Qadisiyah right now. He was at Atalanta before. An impressive goal scoring record. 26-year-old striker, might be worth looking into. Of course, Elliot Anderson, who to me has become my front runner in terms of transfers. It won't happen in January. It'll be like February. Not February. What am I saying? There isn't a February transfer window. It won't be in January. It'll be in summer. Um, if anything, I think for a player like him, but I I I watched him over the international break. I've seen him a bit at Forest. I mean, I prefer him over Baleba and Wharton, if I'm being honest. But hey, I don't want to talk too much, because if you talk too much about a player, suddenly their value jumps past 100 million pounds. Like I've been saying, it's like anytime a player starts to have a good season and they're young, suddenly it's just 100 million pounds, nothing less. Um, who I do still think is a possibility in January, you've heard me say it every show, Conor Gallagher. And then, of course, there's Carlos Baleba. Again, summer target potentially, although hasn't had a great start to life at Brighton. I would be interested to see, since we play Brighton next, how Baleba plays against us. If he comes out and he's just like putting on a show, bringing out the razzle dazzle, flying in the tackles and stuff, then, then clearly he's throwing a fit because he didn't get his move over the summer. If he suddenly puts together a performance for us, and he's also saying, hey, come and get me, please, 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 right? So that will be interesting. That'll be interesting. That's why I have him over here in my little thumbnail for my, advertisements for my match preview for the Brighton match, and the match watch I'll do for that Brighton match, right? Because the eyes will be on him. The eyes will absolutely be on Baleba. But anyway, we'll cross that bridge and when we get there. So very quickly on the women's front, so the women are on international break. They are back November 2nd against Brighton. No update yet on Jess Park and the concussion that she sustained against Everton, but hopefully she comes back, soon and healthy. Donham has a back issue. Not sure about that. And Millie Turner, we won't see. Not Millie Turner. Millie Turner, we won't see until 2026. Question here regarding Lammens. Is it better to make him the main goalkeeper? Is it better to look for someone more experienced, since Lammens is still too young? Like I was saying earlier, unless someone emerges who's, I would say, no older than like 31, 30 in terms of goalkeepers, because goalkeepers can play longer, right? If someone emerges who's like 30, 31 years old for a good, fair price, then I would say, okay, maybe, maybe. But right now, I am on the Lammens high. I am on, I'm Team Lammens right now. I think he's our number one guy, and I think he can only get better. And he seemed so commanding and so confident and comfortable against Liverpool at Anfield, right? It wasn't like, okay, we're playing Liverpool in front of our home fans. It was away in a hostile environment, and he was being confident with the ball. Like there were times where um, he could have picked it up right away, but instead he kind of, he drew in, whether it was Gakpo or Ekitike or Salah or whoever else was playing up there, and then he pick it up, right, or he chested, right? Those little things, and those little things, those are confidence plays from goalkeepers, right? If you've ever played, um, football at all, and the ball runs through to the goalkeeper, and they kind of like they'll take a few touches with it before they pick it up, or they'll draw you in before they pick it up, or the ball comes to them and they'll chest it, and then or something like that, right? Just a little extra touch that gets in your head a bit because you're like, oh, this guy or gal is confident, you know, all that good stuff, and that plays with you a bit, so you kind of hesitate on your next shot, on your next move, right? Which is what they want, and he was doing that, even to be his age. What is he, 21, 22, something like that? Like so. I think he's the guy. I think he's the number one. I think he's the guy. I don't think we need to bring in anyone else. Like I said, I'd like for us to bring in someone who's just about as good to be a competent backup. And I still like to keep, I know Heaton's getting old now, but maybe we bring in someone who's towards the end of their career to kind of be a bit of a mentor to them, right? To our two young goalkeepers potentially. Um, but yeah, I think Lammers is the guy. But I know I appreciate the question though. I mean, again, like I said, this is not just Brian yapping at you. Like, I want you guys to ask questions, get involved. Let's have the conversation. This isn't a channel where it's my way or the highway or my opinion is the only opinion that matters, right? I'm not one of those channels like that. I definitely welcome any all opinions, challenge my opinions, say what you think, say how you feel. But don't forget to like and subscribe. Those are the only things I'll tell you have to do. You have to like and you have to subscribe. Otherwise, fire away with your opinions, your questions, your comments, your thoughts. Just be respectful too, right? Again, none of that toxic stuff, right? None of that here. None of that here. Especially today, right? We're feeling good today. So especially today, we're feeling good. We're feeling good. So let's keep it good and positive. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Um, do you think we can go on a run? Like I said earlier, we've got Brighton next, and we've got Forest and Spurs. Like again, we can go back through those. Brighton, they're right behind us in the table. That's winnable. Forest should absolutely be winnable. I wish they kept Ange at this point. I know he beat us with Spurs, but I wish they kept him until after we played him. But now it looks like they're going to get Sean Dyche or someone in there. But again, I think that's a winnable match, right? Spurs will be a tough test. They are doing well. Everton, I think they can be had. I think we can get them. We keep Grealish quiet. Palace will be tough. West Ham we can win. Wolves we can win. We'll play them twice. And this is all leading up to like the City, Arsenal back-to-back games we have. Bournemouth, again, can beat them. Villa, we can beat them. Newcastle will be a challenge. I think Leeds will be a challenge because, the historic rivalry there. And Burnley, we've already beaten them once. I think we can beat them again. So, who's to say, right? Next 12, 13 games to get 8, 9 wins. Let me know what you think about that. And then my question earlier too was, does Harry Maguire deserve a special place, in the annals of Manchester United history and lore? Like a guy who kind of fell from grace, right, having the captaincy taken off of him, and has delivered in big games and big moments when everyone has doubted him, right? I was saying earlier, I think that warrants another year. I was saying this when the talk of his contract first came up, maybe a month or so ago. I was saying, you know, I think he's earned one more season, right? Comes off the bench, holds it down for us, rotates in here and there for, the quote unquote lesser games, still provides big moments, and can mentor the younger players, right? Mentor the younger players on how to keep your head about you and keep working, because obviously he's been through some shit with us. So, I think he deserves one more year, because that's the thing too, right? It's like you got to have a balanced team. You can't just have a team full of young superstars, right? You need someone there to lead them, someone besides the manager, besides the other caretakers around the club. You need another player who's been there, who's experienced, who's seasoned, who can put their arm around the player and be like, yeah, I know, Amorim said this, but what he really means is that, right? Or, yeah, he's telling you to do this. You should really listen to that because of whatever, blah, 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 blah. So I think, for all those reasons, he should get one more year, and then I would, ship him off to Saudi or whatever if they're still investing big in players to get probably more than we should for him at that point. Um, but yeah, I know I mentioned Dallo earlier, and I mentioned the quotes that he shared about the players just feeling good and being excited and up for the game. And again, you saw that after the match with Xerxes in particular. He was like celebrating like he won, or like he scored the game-winning goal. But Dallo himself did not play well. Um, yeah, I was surprised. I think it was Ahmad who came off, and then Dallo went to right wing back, and then I think Dorgu went to left. I thought that Ahmad would stay on, Dallo would come off, and Dorgu would go to left wing back. But yeah, yeah, I'm ready for Mazraoui to come back, because I don't like Dallo at left wing back. I mean, he's already not the best right wing back. Let's just be honest. But when he goes to that left side, it's not good. It's not good. So hats off to Shaw for kind of covering for him a bit on that left hand side. If you go back and watch, there were a number of times where Shaw kind of saved Dallas' butt a few times. So I'm ready for Mazraoui to come back. Hopefully he stays fit and healthy. So we can have, Ahmad right wing back, and then Mazraoui comes in, or they, however we decide to rotate, Dorgu left wing back. And honestly, I know he's in the squad, in the first team squad, not in the matchday squad, but Malacia, right? He's a left wing back, and he's left footed at too, right? So I mean, more natural left wing back. So unless he's not training well, maybe we put him back there instead of Dallo. Like, I don't think Malacia can be worse than Dallo. And plus, you've got a natural lefty over there at least. So, and again, I'm not trying to just crap on Dallo, right? Because, I like his attitude, right? He's a good team player. He tries hard. He follows instructions and whatnot. So, nothing personal or anything like that, but just not up to the standards that we need. And it was evident again yesterday, even when everyone else was like flying on all cylinders, he still just looked poor. And if anything, everyone else playing better just highlighted to me how far behind he is for the squad. To me, like, he's like a third choice right wing back. So anyway, but again, I don't want to go in on him too much either, because I try not to be player FC or anything like that, right? And we're in a feel good moment. So, but yeah, that's really all I got for you guys today. Like I said, I will be doing the match preview on the 24th for Brighton. Match watch on the 25th, of course, post-match discussion, which I'll probably do live this time. Probably do it live. And of course, always your daily news show. Please do like, share, subscribe. Please follow me on Twitter or X, whatever it's called now. And check out my other channel, Football with Bryan Martin. I do things over there. I will try and cover some of the women's international matches on Football with Bryan Martin. So those of you who've been rocking with me, especially the girl gaffer there, for the women's matches, please do continue to do so on my other channel, Football with Bryan Martin. But yeah, I will get out of here, folks, and I hope you have a wonderful morning, lunch, noon, afternoon, evening, night, wherever you are. I hope it's wonderful and peaceful, and I hope you're still feeling good from yesterday's win, and long may it continue. So yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.